Why do you build me up? Buttercup, baby, just to let me down and mess me around, and the worst of all.
What is going on, guys? I am back with another review of a day at an amusement park, and today I will be talking about this past Friday, which was opening day 2022 at Dorney Park. We had a good and eventful day because there were long lines because a lot of bands and choruses from schools were there. And yeah, so let's jump right into this review of the day. So when we first got to Dorney Park, we headed down. We entered the park, and then we headed down to the lower midway. And when we first got to that midway, we rode Possessed, which we had a Zen ride on it in the front row, which was really good. And after Possessed, we headed to Steel Force, and that was a really good ride on it in the front row. And after Steel Force, we were gonna ride Revolution, but then the floor wouldn't come up, and so they had to call maintenance, and then they kicked us like all out of line or something. And but well, they didn't kick us out of line. We just decided to leave because the floor was taking forever to get fixed. So after that disappointment, we headed to Thunderhawk, which I forgot to rate, by the way. I'd rate that a 7 out of 10, and Thunderhawk's an okay Woody. And yeah, so after Thunderhawk, we rode Dominator Green, which was a really good ride on it. And I didn't put and there's something I didn't realize. When you put your hands up, apparently it feels good because like I didn't even see EB put his hands up on it. He told me he put his hands up after, but I didn't see him put his hands up on the first ride on Dominator Green because I was focused on Jack, who was looking directly at us and like demanding us to get on Apollo. And yeah, so after Dominator Green, I was putting on my shoes and socks, and some ride-op named Jabbar, By the way, a shout-out goes to you, Jabbar, if you're watching this. And anyway, he came up to us while I was putting my shoes and socks on after Dominator Green, and he was like, "You guys okay?" And he was like, and EB was like, "Yes, he's just putting his shoes on," and all that. So after that, we headed to Dominator Red, where Jabbar started really questioning me for being barefoot on Dominator Red. Like, he made all sorts of jokes about it, and he was like judging me for it. And yeah, so after Dominator Red, we headed to Demon Drop, which was, we headed to Chickies and Pete's, which was a good meal there. I got a cheesesteak, but this time without the crab fries because I forgot to order it with crab fries for some reason. And after our meal at Chickies and Pete's, we headed to Demon Drop, and yeah, it was good getting back on Demon Drop. And after Demon Drop, we headed to Apollo, which was a decent ride on that. And after Apollo, we headed to Hydra, which was an okay ride on it because there was a serious rattle felt by us after the Cobra Roll, and plus we waited 43 minutes for Hydra because there were a lot of school groups there. In fact, let me give you an idea of how loud Hydra's station was when we got up in it because of the school groups.
Guys, Hydra Station is absolutely packed right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, so after that ride on Hydra, we headed to Meteor where like in line some dudes behind us were doing pirate noises the whole time. And yeah, and it was a good ride on Meteor too. We went face to face this time, but I didn't really care. So after Meteor, we headed to Dodgem for a ride on that because we were gonna do Talon, but it was closed. So then we just headed to Dodgem instead. And after we just got off of Dodgem, just as I predicted, Talon reopened. So we got a front seat ride on that, and it was really good. And after Talon, we headed to Kaleidoscope, which was, I guess, a decent ride on it. And after Kaleidoscope, we headed to the Ferris Wheel, where someone said something about doing something at 4:30 because they have a job at 5. And I'm mentioning this because we thought they were talking about closing the park at 4:30. And I was like, oh man, this is not going to go well. And yeah, but we had a long ride cycle on the Ferris wheel. Like, we just kept going and going and going and going and going and going, but we got some good shots from it. And so after the Ferris wheel, we headed to Enterprise, and that was a really good ride on that. And after Enterprise, we headed, let me share about an incident on the Enterprise. I was just fine putting the hook on the thing to close the door, keep the door closed. And just today, and just on opening day, I was struggling so freaking much. Like, I had it so many times, but I couldn't see where I was, like, hooking it to. So that was something. And yeah, but I ended up closing it before the ride-off came around, so that was good. And after Enterprise, we headed to the Whip for a good ride on that, because we hadn't ridden on that this season yet, and it just got a new renovation, and it was a good ride on the Whip. And after the Whip, we did Monster, which was not such a good ride on that, because there were no spins, so it felt like a basic kiddie ride. Like, what the heck, guys? Like, it felt like a kiddie ride. It's not a kiddie ride, but it felt like a kiddie ride because we didn't get any spins. So, and it was a short cycle too, sadly, so we just had a casual ride on Monster, which is unusual to me because on Monster you're supposed to spin a lot. And so after Monster, we were going to re-ride Possessed, but then it broke down, sadly, so then we're going to do Cedar Creek Flyers, but then that broke down. So then we headed to Steel Force for a re-ride on that, and yeah, it was good. And yeah, so after Steel Force, we headed for a ride on Thunderhawk, which was really good. And after Thunderhawk, we headed to the Burger Barn for dinner, and I got a cheeseburger again, and it was really good. And after I got my cheeseburger from Burger Barn, we headed to Apollo, and yeah, that was another good ride on it. And after Apollo, we rode Sea Dragon for Jack, but also we still needed to get on Sea Dragon for the season yet, so, but Jack, a shout out seriously goes to you. Like, yeah, so after Sea Dragon, we headed to Dominator Green for a re-ride on that, and this time I put my hands up for real, and it felt good, and it felt lit, just like Evie said. And yeah, so after Dominator Green, we headed for a re-ride on Hydra, which was really good, and after, and so much better than the ride we had on it earlier. So after Hydra, we headed to Meteor, because we wanted to get a re-ride on it, but when it was taking so long to dispatch, we wondered why it was taking so long, but then they called maintenance over and they suspended operations, which totally stunk. I mean, yeah, so because I had just taken off my shoes and socks for nothing, basically. And after that disappointment, we headed to Talon for one last ride on that, which as always, it was a good ride on Talon. You can't really go wrong with Talon. And yeah, so after Talon, we headed to Good Time Gifts, where I got this Talon poster, because, like, I could not make up my mind at first, and I knew if I didn't get one, as soon as we would get in the car, I would regret not getting one, because Evie got a Talon poster too. So, yeah, so I'll have to hang this up sometime. And yeah, so after we both got our Talon posters, that basically just ended opening day at Dorney Park. So yeah, to sum it up, like I said, it was a good and eventful day, with all the comments on my feet and all the breakdowns and stuff. And yeah, so that basically concludes this review of opening day 2022 at Dorney Park. So make sure to go check out my merch store on Bonfire. I'll have a link in the description. I have t-shirts, face masks, all the things. So make sure to go check that out. I'll have a link in the description. And make sure to stay tuned for more. Coming soon to Coaster Plus Music 19. And I will see you in the next... Oh, and also reply to me your thoughts on this video. That would mean a lot. And subscribe if you are new to this channel, and make sure when you subscribe to hit the bell so you'll always be notified when I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next.